am so excited about this next guest. We have fashion designer, author of the memoir Naturally Tan, and resident fashion expert on Netflix's Queer Eye, Tan France.
Hello, dear. How are you?
Hi. Oh my gosh, thank you for waiting. We kept you waiting for so long.
No, it's fine. I was so inspired by what they were saying. Padma's story was just lovely, and her advice was just lovely.
Thank you for where are you calling in from?
I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah, which is where I live, and it's gorgeous, and the weather's beautiful. Have you been here before?
I have been there. My husband's sister, so my sister-in-law, lived in Park City for a while, and then in Camas for a while.
Oh,
so
nice.
A few times, yeah.
It's beautiful out here. Before I forget to say, you are doing beautifully, Malik. I love what you're doing in general, but this has been wonderful.
Thank you. Well, so right back at you because what I have wanted to say to you for so long is you are the person that I needed to see on TV, but didn't exist on TV when I was growing up. Growing up, I never saw a confident, gay, South Asian man who not only loves himself, but loves himself enough that he's able to help other people love themselves. I mean, I never saw that, and I'm just
me either.
and now you are that for so many people. But I can't imagine that it's been an easy journey to get to this place. And I'm just curious if you could talk about your own journey to getting here and the impact that you now hope you'll have on young people just by being yourself.
So I had never seen this either. And it was something that I so desperately wanted to see, but I didn't think it was going to happen in my lifetime. I still can't believe that I get to be that person for some people, especially for the youth. Honestly, it was the main reason why I didn't want to be in show business. I'm not like a lot of people in show business. I didn't try for this. I didn't have grand plans to be in show business. Just I got a call from somebody who said, "Do you want to be on the show?" And I was like, "No, I'm too scared. I don't want to be the first." And so I turned it down so many times. And even after I got the job, I tried to quit because the pressure, as you can imagine, Malik, is just so intense. Nobody wants to be the first at something like this because it does mean that you're the punching bag, you are the target. And for that hate that people so desperately want to throw at people for no reason whatsoever. And so it was really intimidating. But I'm so glad I did it. Those first few months were terrifying because a lot of people were really, really angry, and they definitely didn't want to see a version of us on TV, especially, unfortunately, our people. It was our own people. It was our own, it was the Asian community who definitely didn't seem very happy that there was somebody like me pretending it was okay to choose this lifestyle. And I wasn't pretending it's okay. It is okay. It's great. Wonderful. We exist. We just weren't given an opportunity to be visible before. And so I'm really grateful to be on Queer Eye. I'm grateful that I'm on such a global platform that you can't really, if you have Netflix, you can't really miss us at the Queer Eye Boys. And now I'm on a few shows on Netflix now. Like, you can't miss me. And I kind of love that. When people say, "Oh, you're all over the place," I'm like, good. I need you to see me, and I need you to hear what I've got to say, because we're just like the rest of you. You just didn't realize it, or you wouldn't give us a chance to show you that we're just like the rest of you. And so I hope what it does is that it encourages kids like me from 25 years ago when I was 10, thinking, God, I wish there was somebody that made me feel less alone. I wish there was somebody that felt authentically like I feel and gave me hope. Because when I was a kid, I didn't feel hopeful. I was really blue, and I felt so alone in this world because I'd never seen it before. And that's a shocking thing, that the first time we see it, Malik, is 2 years ago. I've only been on TV for 2 years. 2 years ago, 2018, it took that long for us to be given a chance.
Yeah. So many amazing things in what you just said, but you talked about not wanting to be the first.
Yeah.
About being afraid to be the first. And I think that so many, I know for myself, and I think for so many kids, part of the way bullying manifests itself is that kids just want to fit in. They don't want to be different. And I think there's so many echoes of that in wanting to be the first. I just want to be like everybody else. I don't want to like rock the boat. I don't want to have to be vocal. But where did you find the courage to actually do it? You said you turned down the show so many times. What was when were you like, okay, you know what, I'm going to do it?
It was my husband. So I was asked to do it a couple of times, audition, and I said no, thank you. I finally decided to take the job. Oh, sorry, take the audition because my husband reminded me we've been married for 12 and a half years now, or together for 12 and a half years, married for 10, and he said, "You ever since I met you, the one thing you've said is." Where are our stories? Does nobody care about us?
Mm.
And uh, and he said, you get to be that. And I know you're scared, but I'm here for you. Your family already knows they love you. Like, who cares if some random person in a village in Pakistan hates you? Like, is it that big of a concern? And at the time, it felt massive, but now I can look back and it's laughable thinking, I don't care what my mum's neighbor thinks about what her son does for a living or who her son sleeps with. That's none of her business. I don't ask what her kids are up to. Why are you concerned what my mum's kids are up to? And so I think that's where I got my strength. And I don't need a white knight. I love my white husband very much, but I don't need a white knight to save me. I don't need him to give me the power to embrace my ethnicity, but I just needed somebody who loved me and cared for me to say,
Mm.
you can do this and you should do this and don't be afraid because I'm going to hold your hand the whole way and we're going to make sure that you're protected. And that is how I felt. And honestly, when I do focus on my job and I try and tune everything out, I know that there's a reason why I'm doing this. I know I do believe in a religion. I'm Muslim, and I do believe that there are reasons why I'm doing this. And I'm very grateful for this position.
I think it's so important that young people know that there was a fear component for you, because I know for myself, and I imagine many people who watch the show, what we see is five very confident men who go in and inspire confidence in other
Yeah.
people. And I think it's important that we know that you're also a human being, that you
Yeah.
have vulnerabilities. And I love what you said about not needing a white knight, but I think that we all do need allies, and
Absolutely.
they come in different forms. And it's
Yeah.
amazing to hear that came in the form of your husband. That's so.
Yeah, but what I will say is this: if you look at episode one, season one of Queer Eye, for all of you who are out there, if you really want to see the fear that was in my eyes and what might come for me, I cried in every scene. I went to the restroom. I would say, "Look, I need a break. I need to use the restroom," and I would cry my heart. I was so scared, and then I'd go back and shoot, and you can see I've got pretty much red eyes the whole time. And I barely speak in episode one. I was so afraid, and now I look back thinking, it's going to be fine. We just needed to open the door and now it's fine. And don't get me wrong, we don't have anywhere near the representation we deserve, but it's getting better. It really is.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that representation, intersectionality is something that we are very aware of at Act to Change. Kids are very complex. You were born in England. Your parents are Pakistani Muslims. You live in Utah.
Yeah.
Your reach, as you said, is international.
Yeah.
How do you bridge all these multiple facets of your identity into one cohesive human being? How do you pull it all together?
I will say it's. I've never thought of it in that way, where it's an effort on my part. It's not a conscious effort on my part. I just refuse to not be myself. I refuse. When I decided I was going to take this job, I told myself I wasn't going to hide away. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to lean in. I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm Pakistani, or my mum's family side is Indian Kashmiri, and then my dad's side is Pakistani. I'm not going to hide that. I'm not going to hide that I was raised Muslim. No need to hide that. I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm gay. I can't hide that. So there was so much that I just thought that I don't want to hide. If I'm finally a person who's allowed to be in this industry, and I say allowed this to be in this industry because an executive has to say yes to you. If I'm going to be in this industry, I'm going to be in this industry. I'm not going to try and pretend to be something I'm not. And so I just refuse to be something that I'm not. And every time I get to talk about every facet of my ethnicity, personality, whatever, I will take that and I talk about it a lot. And I wrote a book about it, and I won't stop talking about it. And so I think that probably bugs a lot of people. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there saying, "Oh, you shut up and do your job." I refuse to just shut up and do my job. I've got a story to tell, and I want them to hear us. And so so that's how I manage it. I've always been very bolshy. I've always been very loud, and I've never let somebody silence me. Even as a kid, when I was bullied, and I never thought I was bullied. I actually truly didn't think I was bullied until I was much older, and then So I was writing my book actually, and I had a writer. Sorry, I say so much, but I've got so much to say. But I was working with a writer, and I was telling her the story, and she said, "Do you want to talk about bullying? Were you ever bullied?" And I was like, "No, I was never bullied." And then I told her about how me and my siblings would get attacked every day, pretty much on the way to school. And she was like, "You said you were never bullied." I was like, I wasn't bullied. That was just a part of regular life." She was like, it's a horrible version of bullying. How can you not see that? But it was so ingrained in my upbringing that I didn't see it as bullying. It was just, I'm going to school today, somebody's going to spit at me, or somebody's going to call me a name, or somebody's going to hit me. That's just the way it is. Bullying, I thought, was something quite different to that. But no, it was just, yeah, we experience that all the time.
And what was it that for you, Tan? It was. I mean, I heard you talk about spitting, being hit, name calling. I mean, the physical violence that's a pretty big thing. Yeah, that's how the bullying manifested itself for you.
Yeah, when I was there's this one story that I hark back to. It was the one of the worst times. My brother and I were in the same school at the same time, and we lived about 7 or 8 minutes away from my primary school. And my parents were immigrants, and therefore they had multiple jobs, which is often the case with immigrants. And so my mum couldn't take us to school, but they purchased a house that was close enough for us to walk to school. And my brother was sick, and so he couldn't go. I was wanting to stay home with him because I was too scared to go to school on my own. It's the first time I was going to school on my own at 5, and I tried to walk close to white women or white families, so those people would leave me alone. The bullies would leave me alone, and I couldn't get close enough. And there was this group of men who were in their late teens, early 20s, who kicked the bejesus out of me. And I was 5. They were fully grown men, and it was purely because they wanted me to go back to my own country. That was my country. I was born and raised there. Your people colonized my country, and that allowed us to move to England. This is my country.
By the way, like this notion of not being, in America, not being American, or being told this is not your country, is something that has come up so many times on this event. So I appreciate you bringing attention to it one more time. This idea that we are American, in this kind of. How do you identify as?
I'm almost American. I was meant to get my citizenship this week. I passed my test. I was just meant to get the oath ceremony done this week. So I would have finally been able to call myself American. However, it got cancelled because obviously the pandemic is going on and all of the government offices are closed. So unfortunately, I don't describe myself as an American yet. I describe myself as British Asian.
Right. But you belonging to the country that of your origin, right? The country where you live. Yeah. I also I just wanted to touch on this concept that you said about not really knowing it was bullying. Now, when I heard you saying that story, I had like a literal emotional response to this idea of a kid who has to try to find someone who they don't even know on a sidewalk that will keep them safe, because otherwise they're going to be hit.
Yeah.
It feels so real. Padma talked about this a little bit with this idea of having to look back at history, and her mom having a different version of it than she did. And so many people talked about this idea of I think Jeannie Mai talked about pushing it down. And I just want to thank you for going back and revisiting that part of your life and putting it into your book, because I think it's so important for young people to know that they're not alone. That is bullying.
Yeah.
And that there are real consequences to it.
Yeah, one thing I do want to mention, and I don't think it's something I mentioned in my book, but it's something that I've thought about so much since, because when I wrote the book, I had when I did press, I think so many people were surprised by it. I don't think people have talked about it enough. So the press was very surprised by it. So it was a major topic of conversation every interview I did. And I realized that I did behave in a certain way. I wasn't violent back. And I think that's how I was able to get away with continuing on to live as I got older and wasn't attacked as much as I got to my teen or my 20s, is because I reasoned with them. I'm quite petite, and I was a very petite kid. And so I wasn't ever going to be able to win if I tried to physically fight them. But I was a smart kid, and so I would ask them, why do you think that I don't belong in this country? And I would use the information I had, the knowledge I had, to try and stave off any kind of violence. So as I got older, it wasn't a case of I'm going to be violent with you because you're violent with me, that achieved nothing for me. I tried it when I was very young and it did nothing for me. And so the way I got away with not being beaten in my teen years was by reasoning with those people, those much older men, and saying, how would you feel if this was your sibling? Like, what would you do if this was your son who was being attacked? I'm 9 and you're 30. Like, how would you feel if a 30-year-old man hit your child just because they were white? They had no control over it. And it's amazing what a reaction that caused in the person who was wanting to attack me. And so I would implore people, I'm not saying ever accept the disrespect that they throw your way, but violence won't solve it. And I know sometimes you may think that that's the only option. It's not. That you can use your words also, and that can often get you out of that trouble.
Thank you so much. Tan, will you, I feel like I could just talk to you for another hour, but I'm being told I can't. Um, would, can you tell us, can you just like in your own words, tell us why a day against bullying and hate feels important to you?
I wish it wasn't just a day. I know that's all we have. But it's important to highlight the fact that this is an experience that is real for so many people, and we brush it under the carpet or the rug, whatever the term is over here. We brush it under the carpet to think that our stories aren't legitimate because the focus isn't often on Asians, it's on other communities who are attacked, other people who are bullied. We are attacked too regularly. I think it's important to highlight that every race is under attack in this country, and we need to treat each other with respect, and remember that we need to be kind and to each other, and to all look out for each other. There are many communities that you think they're probably going to be fine, they don't need a light shone on them. They do. Remember them when you see them walking down the street. If you see somebody causing them problems, step in. Remember that they need your help too.
Thank you so much for being here. I would love to have you come back and do something else that could change down the line, but unfortunately we have to go now. Thank you for all of your words and your inspiration, and just for being who you are, and for helping us to close out the day. Thank you so much.
Wait, one last thing. Donate, people. I know Malik's talked about it so much, but I'm going to just say it again. $7. If you can spare $7, oh my gosh, they're going to meet their goal. So please, 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 please donate. Thank you.
$7. That's all it takes. Thank you, Tan. Thank you so much.